Hey, Ultra fans, welcome back to another episode of Buckle Up, an Ultra Running Conversation. Mandy had some technical difficulties this morning, so we're improvising. But I wanted to get this episode out because it's a great one. It's timely. As we talked to Rachel Downing about her Leadville Trail 100 experience. Rachel has a great story about her first 100 miler and coming back from setbacks in training and life. She took a hiatus from sport for a while, trying to diagnose some issues that you'll hear about in this episode. And she just performed just so well. I mean, I say it in the show quite a few times, but gosh, she just stayed so consistent and didn't waver whatsoever. So I'd be really interested to see what she could do at this distance as she gets more experience at the 100 miler. So she was fifth overall. She ran sub 22. I want to say it was about 21:54. She finished at like 2 a.m., which is not that glorious. There's probably not too many people in downtown Leadville at 2 a.m. Not like the golden hour where I finished, where there was felt like a couple hundred people cheering us in with just a few minutes to spare. I had another thought about our question, which I did forget to ask Rachel in the confusion. I did forget to ask Rachel about her guilty pleasure, but last night I came home and I turned on the tube pretty late, probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I was trying to catch up on an episode of Alone. It's an outside show where these participants compete against each other to see who could stay out in the woods the longest with 10 survival tools. In different cases, most of the time it's been in the snow. This year it was in Africa, in a drier environment, more arid. And that's another one of my guilty pleasures. So I did forget to ask Rachel about her guilty pleasure. We're really trying to get a little more information about our guests outside of running, just a little bit, just to kind of get a feel for who they are as people and what their guilty pleasure might be. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week with a full episode. Really excited about next week's guest. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, and tell all your friends about it. Take care. Good afternoon, Rachel. Thanks for coming on Buckle Up, an Ultra Running Conversation. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day to tell us all about your Leadville Trail 100 experience this past weekend.
Well, thank you for having me. Excited to be here with you all and talk about it.
Typically with our guests, we start at the beginning. Like, how did you get into the sport? Why running? Why ultra running? How did you find yourself on the Leadville Trail 100 starting line this past weekend?
Yeah. Well, I've been a lifelong runner. I ran as a young kid. I ran in high school and college. A little bit fell out of love with running after college, got burned out, but moved to Colorado and then fell back in love. I actually had iliac artery surgery about 3 years ago, a little shy of 3 years ago. And so I wasn't running for about 6 years. My leg would go completely numb anytime I raised my heart rate, but got that taken care of and had started to, as you do in Colorado, my races got a little bit longer and longer. I did the Grand Traverse a couple times. I did the run and bike the last 2 summers. Then it was funny. I was with my PT after it, and she, in a loving way, basically said, "Would you ever do 100? You're not getting any younger." And I was like, "Sting, burn," but it kind of got the wheels turning, and I was like, maybe, who knows? And then the next week, I was actually meeting up with a friend from La Sportiva, and they offered me entry into Leadville, and I was like, this is too much. I think the stars are aligning. I'm supposed to do it. And so that's kind of how it happened. And it was like such a awesome journey to get there, and it was what if like fun, slightly scary, but awesome challenge.
So Rachel, how much time did that give you to wrap your head around that and get that training plan going?
So that was in like the end of last year. So, and I don't have a coach. I really want to like not get burned out. So I try to keep it light. I always tell myself I want to do something hard and something long every week, and the rest is bonus. I almost always get more than that, but I think that really frames it for me, that's kind of the goals with kids and jobs and everything, that as long as I get those two things in, then I'm still kind of on track. So yeah, I've been sort of training, I would say, since February. Yeah.
Rachel, did you have some sort of burnout in the past? I noticed there was a big gap in your ultra sign up, and it may be just that the races weren't there. But I thought from 2016 to 2023, it looked like there was a big hiatus from sport, maybe.
Yeah. So that was due to my iliac artery.
Oh,
It's called iliac artery index fibrosis. But what it is basically your artery gets kinked. It's more common in cyclists, but it restricts the blood flow to your leg. And
mm,
so it took me a long time to figure out what was going on. I would start to run or start to bike, and it was like I couldn't pick up my leg. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I had a whole laundry list of things I did,
mm,
but I did finally figure it out. And the doctor I went to said I wouldn't do it before you're done having kids. And so then that was a whole nother contemplation on like,
hmm.
what are we doing there? So I have a 3.5-year-old, and after he was born, then I was like, I'm ready, let's do it. So yeah, that was kind of my hiatus there, as I basically couldn't feel my right leg for
Hmm.
about 7 years. But I'm back. I got a stent. It's good as new. I feel just like so reinvigorated, and I think it's changed my perspective. Like I'm even at mile 85, 90, when it was suffering, I was like, I'm just so grateful to have a healthy body that is allowing me to do this.
Yeah, that's so true. I can definitely relate to that. And even in a smaller injury in myself, I'm just missing sport for just a few weeks or a few months, and then trying to regain and get back in. I really have a ton of FOMO, so I couldn't imagine sitting on the sideline for 7 years. And not that you were sitting on the sideline, but trying to work through the process and figure out what was going on.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't seem to be slowing you down, though. Gosh, you were flying. You were sub 2 hours for the Leadville Trail 100, which is a phenomenal time. And I even dove a little bit into the splits, and it seemed like right after Twin Lakes inbound, the last 40 miles, you were consistently averaging 13, low 13s in the pace. They were just consistently on. So you were just steady on all the time. So pretty impressive. I mean, really impressive for your first 100 miler. What was your farthest distance before this Leadville?
40 was my furthest distance, the Grand Traverse. So I kept, after Twin Lakes, I was like, everything's a PR from here on. But yeah, obviously had tried to, stack some mileage and do different things. But yeah, every 40 was my furthest. I think I'd never run a race where I could have pacers. That was just such a lift to
Mm,
have a buddy to run with. I couldn't believe, I mean, I knew it would be fun and nice to have them, but I feel like I won the lottery with the pacers that came and were able to help me. They were all awesome and unique in their own way. So I think that was a lift, and just keep moving. My crew was wonderful. I've never really done a crew either. I just feel like it's too much to ask someone. So I've always just kind of like, oh, I'll do the drop bag, I'll do the
mm.
things. But it was just so heartwarming and incredible. Yeah, I think when I saw them, and after Hope Pass, which everyone talks about it, but boy, that was something. But knowing that was done, it was like, okay, we can do this, we can move. So yeah, it was.
What was your headspace like when you saw your crew? Like what state were you in physically and mentally? I guess when you picked up your pacers at Twin.
Yeah, I mean, I was prepared for everything. Everyone talked about you might hallucinate in the middle of the night, you might think you don't want food, but your pacers have to force feed you, all these things. But I was lucky that I never did really get into that headspace. I think I was still with it most of the time, but I was certainly grateful. I mean, my first pacer that I got, she would like had saved up all these fun gossip stories, and we just
Mm.
chatted, and it was good. And then my second pacer, he was awesome. I think he has a photographic memory. He went and ran the course once and was like, there's 3 routes ahead, veer to the left, veer to the right. And it was just
Mm.
like, head down, let's go. It was wonderful. And then my husband was the last one, and I kept joking that he was disappointed in me the whole time, because he was like, you're going to be disappointed if we don't go. There's someone 5 minutes in front of us. but it was great because it like kept me on task. I mean, I kind of had my cheerleaders at the beginning, and then my husband that was like give me a little tough love at the end. And so I think they were all just what I needed at just the times that I needed them. It was wonderful.
Do you want to give those crew and pacers some shout outs? And was there anyone else like wheeling or driving around like a wheelman?
Yeah, yes, please. Christine was my first pacer. Thank you. She's awesome. Jake, my buddy that goes to the gym, runs ultras. He like knew I like threw up. I'd never thrown up in a race, and he was so wonderful because he was like, "That's okay. That's just what your body rejected it. We're gonna get more food at the next station." So I was like, "Is this okay? Is this normal?" So he was awesome. And then my husband Steven was wonderful. And then Connie, she's my crew chief. She was wonderful. She's the head coach owner of the gym I go to for strength training. And I just felt like so supported and so loved.
I've been there too, Rachel, with my husband pushing me as the last pacer. And it's an interesting dynamic because it's definitely tough love and you're not sure really what you're going to get, but it's, Brian and I have talked about this when your spouse is out there with you, it can be really awesome. It can be really bad. It can be anywhere in between, but you won't forget it. That's for sure.
That's true. He did great. We joke a lot, so I appreciate him. But there was a little tough love in there.
Is he an athlete as well? I mean, like a runner specifically?
Yeah, we met running in college, but he's more of a mountain biker now. He's done the Leadville a couple times on the bike, and so that's more his jam now is mountain biking.
Story before, but my wife paced me on my first one for the last section and at Leadville, and she hasn't paced me since.
I think he would still pace. I'll be curious. I'll have to ask him now.
She's crewed. She's showed up for every other race, but she will not get on the course with me. To each their own. Funny. But we did have children after that year, so she had her hands full of doing other things.
My oldest was out there. He actually had taken a red eye back from, talk about logistics, red eye back the night before to get there. He was on a trip with his grandparents and came straight up, but then he was there and got to cross the finish line with me. He was a trooper on very little sleep. My youngest hung out in Copper with our babysitter. I asked him, I said, Mom's going to do a long race and you can come up there for a little bit or you could play in Copper. And he was like, playing Copper. I was like, cool. That's probably better for everyone, but he had no interest.
That's perfect. What about race morning? How were you feeling race morning? What did you have to eat? Was there a lot of nervous energy or were you just kind of enjoying the moment still?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. Little nervous energy, but I try to always say like nervous and excitement are the same thing. You just kind of have to reframe it. I did wake up at 1. I'm an early bird. I usually run at 4 or 5, but I woke up at 1 to eat something. So that was a unique experience, or at least unique for me. I'm sure there's many other Leadville runners doing the same thing. But yeah, I mean, mostly felt great, excited, and really, I mean, going back to it, but grateful. I was just so grateful the whole time to have a body that was willing and able to do it.
Let's kind of like dissect the race a little bit. What about the first 40 miles, maybe all the way to Twin Lakes? It's fairly runnable. You go over Sugarloafing, but it's not too bad on that front side, I guess. It's not as bad as Powerline on the way home.
Yeah.
But it's fairly runnable. You can move well. The sun went away. The clouds were in. It seemed cool and comfortable. How did you fare through that section?
Yeah, so grateful for the weather. I did hit about 50K, and that's the furthest I've run this training block. I've run some back-to-backs, and I was like, I feel like my body's like, that's good. But then luckily I knew, 38, 40, I was going to see my crew soon. So that was good. I would say I was surprised that my quads felt shot earlier in the day than I expected them to. That wasn't ideal, but so it goes. And I got a really good speech at Twin Lakes, not from one of the crew I mentioned, but Matthew Shields. He was there and he has run the race before, and he was like real serious, and he was like, Rachel, everyone's gonna feel crummy coming up the backside of Hope Pass. You keep eating, you keep moving, and you do this. And it was like, okay. And then I took off, and sure enough, like coming back up Hope Pass, it was like okay. And I kept repeating his words, and I was so glad that he gave me some tough love there and just told me like, this isn't the time, but it played out exactly how he said it would.
That's so funny. I think we all are friends with Matthew Shields. I did see him
Oh,
at Twin
that's
Lakes
funny.
as well myself, and
Oh,
I know
nice.
Mandy and Matthew are friends as well.
Funny. We have kids that go to school together, but yeah, he's awesome. Well, I talked to Chris, that I think you know from Windsor. I try to talk to anyone that I'm with for more than 10 minutes or so, because I'm like, what? I mean, what a shared experience. And I think it's a lift to talk and pass the time. But yeah, I met lots of wonderful people. There was Colin, him and I actually did a race prepping for this in Estes Park, and during the race we got attacked by an elk, and so we were joking the whole time that what hopefully we didn't get attacked by any animals on the Leadville course, but we ran several miles together. So yeah, I think that's like one of the really neat parts is I feel like you can have this instant bond with people when you're sharing miles.
I think the only animal attack I could recall in Leadville history in my tenure is a grouse, and they're pretty popular. I think they were protecting a nest or something because they wouldn't move, but they were pretty aggressive and fluttering all around. But anyway.
That's funny. Relatively harmless.
Relatively harmless, yes. And then the next 20 miles would be Twin Lakes to Winfield and back, over Hope Pass from the north side and the south side, with an extra 3 miles of Colorado Trail to finish it up to get to Winfield before you return and come back on yourself. The backside is way steeper than the front side. It always feels like that. Plus, I think fatigue also makes it appear that way as well. But how did you fare on the climbing sections?
The climbing sections were kind of as expected. I think little running, mainly hiking. I'd never used hiking poles before. I didn't think I was going to use them, but my crew was like the week before, they're like, just put them in just in case you twist your ankle or something happens. And I got to Twin Lakes. I was like, I want those. So I was like watching the people in front of me. I'm like, am I doing this right? Because I've never used them before, but they were awesome to have. That was a gift from the heavens, I feel like. But down was I wasn't moving down like I was hoping to. I thought I'd be able to boogie down, but I was pretty shot both ways down. So I mean, if I could rewrite anything, I wish I could have had the legs for that, but I just didn't. So that was a little surprising to me.
We just had an interview with another participant that finished the Leadville Trail 100 just this week as well, including us. And it sounds like this is your first time here, the bigger race, the bigger format, the out and back scenario. What did you think of the crisscross traffic on Hope Pass? Like, how did you fare, and were you comfortable with it? And how did that feel?
Yeah, good question. I was actually glad to have my poles for that too, because it's a really narrow trail on certain points. And I felt like it helped me like let them by leaning on my poles. It was really neat. I saw a few people and we that I knew from home or different places, and we cheered. I gave a hug to someone. So that part of it was neat to get the encouragement, I think both sides, hopefully. But yeah, little tight in certain spots with passing too.
How are you maintaining on nutrition and hydration at this point, halfway at the race? Are you where you want to be? Are you falling a little behind? Where you at?
No, I have historically not done the best on my nutrition, and I think everyone scared me enough on it that I was like pretty militant about every 30 minutes consuming something, even if it was just a bite of something or a drink with some high calories in it. So that was one of the things I was pretty pleased with in the race, is I think I ate well. My crew forced a few things down, but yeah, that part of it, who knows if I do another one, if it will be the same. But this round, I felt like my nutrition and being able to eat was better than expected. I think I'd gotten enough scare tactics on it that I was like eating as much as possible.
The llamas have been retired. It was donkeys this year, and there was a bunch of donkeys and a few mini donkeys, and it's
That's right.
Marvin Sandoval and those guys that race the donkey races. What do they call them? The burro racing teams. Yeah.
Were they going crazy when you went through, Brian?
They weren't. No, they weren't actually. I think someone even went up and petted them, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, they were loud. Yeah, llamas wouldn't be loud, but the donkeys were loud.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had ramen was I didn't because before this the longest I had run was 7 hours. So everyone kept saying, "What are you gonna eat? What do you eat?" I was like, I'm not sure what happens after that point. So I had lots of options, but ramen seemed and Coke seemed to be the things that hit the spot with my crew and my aid station. So those were I had some Rice Krispie treats that a friend sent up, which was
Mm.
unexpected, but those were real tasty. So things that I didn't really expect to crave. I thought potatoes would be good, but I couldn't even bear the thought of that for some reason. But yeah, ramen, Coke, and Rice Krispie treats were what my body said it needed.
And you were able to sustain that throughout the whole event? Like you didn't get flavor fatigue and just get burnout on something by mile 80?
Oh, totally. By the time, especially my husband picked me up at like 88, and he was kept telling me to eat. I was like, I'm so tired of consuming things. But he was like, just one more bite. And so I feel like I could just like, hold my nose and make it happen because I knew that I needed the calories. One thing, I don't know if this is common, but I felt like my tongue and my mouth were like I had burnt them, but I think it was
Mm.
just so much sugar that it was like, but all sorts of weird things. But yeah, I was still able to eat even though it didn't sound great. After the race, when I sat down, they like have a chair and set you down. They're like, "Can we get you water or anything?" And I was like, "I don't want to put anything else in my
Mm.
body right now." But I was happy to be able to tell them no for the first time.
Yeah, definitely. Like a loss of flavor. I had the same exact sensation this year. Afterwards we went and got breakfast sandwiches, and I thought, gosh, I'll eat this breakfast sandwich. It's gonna be great. But I couldn't taste anything. I was expecting to get like a good flavor, but it just my tongue and my mouth was flat, and I realized until like Tuesday of this week that everything was just flat until it all regenerated, I guess.
Okay, so it's normal-ish.
I don't know if it's normal, but it happened to me as well.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Post race fuel. Well, I finished in the middle of the night. Yeah, I finished at 2 in the morning, and we just went home. I actually, again, I don't know if this is normal or let's say common, but I didn't even shower, which is gross, but I was just so tired. I was like, I went into it. There was a third bed that nobody was sleeping in, and I just like got in, like, sweaty and nasty and went to sleep. I actually wasn't super hungry on Sunday. I didn't really want to eat, but it hit Monday. And so, I probably, consumed 2 days worth on Monday, but yeah.
What about on the return trip, Twin Lakes inbound? It's probably getting nighttime at this point, or the sun's going down on you at Twin Lakes. You probably hit it in late late afternoon, early evening hours, and then it gets dark. Have you ran through the dark before? It didn't sound like you've experienced night running before. And how did that go for you?
I run early in the morning, so it's not like super uncommon, the headlamp experience and all of that. But again, I was nervous about it and wasn't sure how that would all work, but it was fine. I think really like having a buddy through that was great. So all in all, I think it started getting dark for me going up right before power line. And so
Hmm.
that was my buddy that I was telling you about that has a photographic memory. And so he was clutch. He was like telling me I'm like, how do you know where every rock is or every rut? But he did, and he was great. So that was wonderful. I had just kind of a last minute decision too. The morning of, I've written down all the miles for the top of the climbs on my
Hmm.
forearm, and so to me that was helpful because I mean 6 miles is a long ways, but I feel like when you can just kind of count down, and so that was helpful too, just to kind of put my head down and be like, okay, 4 more miles left, 3 more miles left. But yeah, and he knew everything too on the aid stations and where they were as well.
Rachel, you were fifth female overall. You won your age group in your debut 100 miler at Leadville, of all places. You said your husband was trying to push you a little bit to catch someone that might have been in front of you. Did you wind up catching that person, or were they fourth?
Yeah, no, the by the time my husband got with me, the next female was quite a bit ahead, but we were just trying to like, hunt a little bit, pick off some
Mhm.
people, men or women. So we
Okay.
did pick off a few. There was one on the home stretch that we could see, and he was like,
Mm.
come on, you got this. But we didn't quite catch that one. But yeah, I think it was more just to kind of keep our head in the game and something to focus on.
Yeah, dangly carrot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Rachel, what does recovery look like for you now? Is it your off season? Are you gonna do some more racing? Are you planning next year? And are you gonna be back next year for year 2 of Leadville?
Yeah, all good questions. I don't know is the short answer. I ran 4 miles this morning. I haven't, but that felt good just to move the body again. My shuffle resembles a walk now. But my husband and I had kind of agreed that we would do an every other year. You get to focus on you. And I actually took 2 years in a row. So after I got the
So
Leadville entry,
does he get 2 years then?
I'm not sure I'm willing to let it work that way, but he thinks so. But yeah, I mean, I'm not totally sure. I
Uh,
definitely got a little bit of the bug, but we'll see. If you're in Boulder and you want to be a babysitter that wants to come at 4:30, 5 in the morning, we're looking. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Kind of make sure my family's settled and everybody gets their turn as well.
all right, so that's like a non-answer, and I get it. I fully understand it, Rachel. But so, what is on your bucket list though? Like, what other races are there that you just like have your eye on? Maybe you have like it like bookmarked in the
Yeah.
notebook as possibilities. What are you thinking? And there's probably a few. I know I have a few. So let's see if you have a few yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I never thought I would do 100. So, but I definitely get the appeal. It was pretty awesome. Who knows? I mean, I would be interested to do Leadville again, but yeah, I don't know. Another non-answer, huh?
All right, all right, all right. I'll let you off the hook. What else am I missing? Let's see. Recovery's going well. Gosh, it's just such a well laid out plan. Like you have no hiccups, you have no side steps. You just came, you executed. Gosh, I can't believe like your splits on the way back home were just so tight, and it's just really impressive.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I don't know that it'll always be that way, but I did was fortunate to feel good, and I mean you've experienced it, but I think having a crew is such a lift.
Definitely, I've ran Leadville without a crew before in the past. I've done it solo in training for another event where I wasn't allowed a pacer for quite a
Uh-huh.
few miles. So I was using it as a test run in other years. But this year, for sure, I laid heavily on my crew. It actually, if I didn't have a crew or my crew, I probably would not have finished. I was really tight this year, but I got it done, and we move on, right? So
Yeah. Are you going back for 11?
that's the burning question that everybody wants to know. I don't know. There's a couple scenarios that could happen. So I was supposed to do the Grand Slam this year, but I messed it up on the Old Dominion 100 miler in June. I DNF'd at mile 87. So I kind of blew that out of the water. So I deferred Vermont to next year. And then I raced Leadville because it was 10. And
Mhm.
Wasatch was always provisional. If I finished the first 3, that led me in the 4th. I wasn't in Western States. And so I think Western States lottery comes out. Usually the system is that we apply for all these lotteries, we wait for lottery day, and then we kind of build our schedules around the lottery findings, whether you're in Western States or not. If I got into Western States this year, I would probably try to slam and potentially add Leadville as one of the options because after 7 or 8 or so, I'm not sure what year it was, but they start to let me have guaranteed entry. I still have to pay
Okay.
my way in, but going for 10 and or 11 at this point. But if I didn't get in and I didn't slam, I think I might step back and go back to the 200s, if I'm being honest. So
What?
they're more of an adventure. They're not so running. It's like a tour. You just get to see things and take a nap. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah. Every level like has its a level above it, but that just seems like so next level to do a 200. I can't even imagine.
You don't see yourself in that realm just yet, at least.
I don't think so. But
Yeah.
ask me a year ago, I would have said no way on 100
I was
too.
just gonna say that. I mean, I remember towing the line for my first Leadville, which was my first 100.
Uh-huh.
And I stood there and I was like shell shocked, and I had to like bring myself back down to reality. I was just get to the next aid station. Like I couldn't envision the whole 100 miles. Like it just seemed so unfathomable. And for years it did. I mean, like years, like even after my second, my fifth, whatever it was. I mean, every time I towed the line at 100 miles or greater, it's always like any given Sunday, this could completely go wrong. There's something that could happen, and it's not guaranteed by any means. It's not in the average 5K. It's not your Boulder or whatever. It's which are tough races too. Don't get me wrong, but they're a little more manageable.
Right. You can have a bad day and still get through it.
You can have a bad day and still have a good day, right? I mean, like you can have fun
True.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, I don't want to keep you any longer. I appreciate your time and the conversation. It was really nice to meet you and talk about all things Leadville. And I think maybe we'll see you next year at Leadville, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.